Hello, folks. This is Eric. I'm going to do a process video. I've never done one of these before, so bear with me. A few people asked me how to do it because my art is digital, but it's kind of weird how I make it look, and it looks a little liquidy and stuff. And so people were just kind of wondering how I make it look the way I do. So I'm going to kind of walk through it here. Hopefully, I can do it right. 'Cause I'm going to hold my phone with one hand and then paint with the other on my tablet. And let me see if I can flip the phone around here. Let me see. How do I flip this around? Hang on. Okay, here we go. Part two. That's my Taylor Swift. I'm a Swiftie, so that's my Taylor Swift wallpaper. Um, Unplug my phone here so I'm not get a better angle. I go to the app Infinite Painter, and I use a Samsung tablet. I don't like iPads. I've never owned an iPad or any kind of Samsung product, or not, sorry, Apple product. I never owned an Apple product. So I get a Samsung it's a S9 FE tablet. It was about $300, and I use Infinite Painter, which costs $10 one-time fee. It's really good. You can do a lot of cool things. As you can see, a lot of brushes here to pick from. You go to paint. I usually like to do glazed acrylic because that's one of my favorite ones. And then I pick a red. Oh, sorry, I'm drifting out while I'm looking. I pick a red color, and then I go to the wheel and pick something a little darker. Sorry if I keep drifting off. I'm trying to look over what I'm doing as I'm doing it here under my phone. I need to get I had a stand. I don't know what happened to it. So what I do is a lot of times I kind of have a color idea, a set of colors in mind. I'll paint like this, and then like that, and then like that. Whatever kind of main color I want to do. And then I'll pick another color. This time I'll do a dark blue. I select blue. And then right here, make it a little darker. It almost looks black. I kind of like the real dark blue, making it look kind of black. And doing that. I guess, I'm doing this kind of a hard way. There is a process like video shows kind of, you can't see me, hear me talking or show my hand, but it kind of shows things. Anyway, that's somewhere there. And I know people say abstract art isn't real art, but it's kind of how my brain works. My brain's kind of messy, so my art is also kind of messy. I'll do some yellow. I don't usually do a lot of yellow, but I like to throw some yellow in sometimes. Kind of wilds things out. I kind of like to add contrast with colors, kind of darker and then lighter. Sorry if the camera's not real steady, but I'm doing my best. Doing my best. And then I might do some purple. Put some purple in just to kind of give it some quirky looks. My wife likes purple a lot, so I like to do purple sometimes. So here we go. Okay, so that part's done. So now what we do is we go up here in the corner. There's these little, I don't know what this thing is called. I select that. And scroll over. And I select liquify. And then this is pretty cool. You dial it for how drastic you want it to be. And then here is where you add the liquid effect. You can do different things. Sorry. Turn the phone around. Oh no, that's not working. Okay. I usually like to go in big circles. There's different settings you can do. You can do bloat, where you can make it look real fat. And then there's a pinch setting. Make it look like it's puckering. And then there's a swirl setting, which makes it swirl even more, which I don't use as often as I probably should, as much as I like to swirl things. But swirling it around. And then what I like to do, let me blend some of this white background in. Then what I like to do is I like to make it smaller, and from here you can kind of control what you're doing with it. So like we'll pick the red. I want to have more red, so I just put that there, and I can stretch it out like that, and that's going to be my focal point. So, I'm sorry. I keep moving the camera. Sorry about that. So it looks kind of a red starburst. So there's that. So you hit the check mark to lock it into place. And there's that, but I'm not done. So I used to just do this, and I would like leave it at that when I was first getting started, when I first was learning how to use this app. And I'm pretty much self-taught on all this stuff. I sometimes watch a YouTube video or Google how to do it. I just been kind of clicking on things and discovering things and learning things, which when you do digital art, that's just kind of what you have to do, I think. And just go from there. So I'm going to go back over here to the colors. I'm going to pick like a gray, pick a brush, and I'm going to pick the dry brush, which this is kind of a cool brush, I think. What size do I want it to be? Let me get kind of medium size. Oh no, it's too big. Make it a little bit smaller. This kind of gives it a dirty look, and I'll just kind of go through. And the more you press, the more it shows up. And what's neat about the digital is that it acts like regular paint. Like if you hold it down and go back and forth, you see that it kind of mixes. So I don't want it to mix, so I just kind of go over. Oh, that's my Taylor Swift sticker. I kind of go over it and do different things with that. Go over the light part. It's kind of a dark gray, but it kind of looks black on the colors. So go with that there. And that's what we got. Okay, so that looks kind of good and dirty, but I'm not done. I'm gonna add another color. I'm gonna add kind of a light blue, I think, to kind of add some contrast. Go all over it, mixing that in. Different directions. And we can make the brush different sizes, which is kind of cool. The reason I do digital is because my house is very small. We bought this house a few years ago. It was a family home. My wife's grandmother used to live here. It's about 800 square feet and has 2 bedrooms, a living room, and a dining room. And all the rooms are very small. I just don't have room for a lot of stuff. I don't show off camera because everything in here is messy. We have a lot of storage. We're trying to get our storage situation sorted out. So don't judge. So what am I doing here? Oh yeah, I made the brush a little bit bigger so you can see a little bit more of the color change. As you can see, it's kind of, and like I said, I know some people question, is this really art because I'm just scribbling, but I mean, I have kind of intention as to what I'm doing here. I have a kind of a picture in my head as to what this is going to look like. Oh yeah, so I'm selecting white. I'm going to do, I always do this for a focal point. I have this thing with eyes. Go back to glazed acrylic. I always like adding eyes into my art, especially one big eye. And I think that's because, part of it's because I have weird dreams. I know I talk about on my blog about mental health and bipolar and dreams and stuff. I have a lot of weird dreams and I see a lot of weird things with eyes. And I know I grew up really religious in a really religious home. And like when you see biblical angels, they're covered in eyes. I think that eye looks a little too big. I'm going to undo it. If you make a mistake, that's the nice thing about digital art. If you make a mistake, you go over here and tap it. So you can see you just tap it to undo what you did. I made the eye too big, so I'm going to go in and make it a little bit smaller. Oh no. I talk to myself a lot when I do these. Sometimes I'll be over here, my wife will be watching me, and I'll be like, oh no! And she's like, what happened? I'm like, oh, I just painted something weird. So fill that in. Now for this eye, I guess because I got blue, I got yellow, I got red, so I'm going to have the eye be green. Just to add some, once again, add some kind of weird contrast. Sorry. I get caught up what I'm doing and I forget the camera's drifting. I'm going to add the pupil. And then I'm going to add another layer. This. Oh, not there. Oh, wait. I'm going to do something with some white. And once again, you get some weird brushes. You have pens, you have pencils, you have charcoal. But then you have some weird stuff with digital because you can make patterns, and I don't like to do the textures so much. Like, I'll select it, and you can do like, if you're gonna do a brick wall, it actually will like lay out the bricks, lay out the stones, lay out the fencing. I don't usually do that, but I don't usually do things that look like things. I like to pick this weird one called long fir. I don't even know what that is exactly. There's some different styles there. They look kind of weird. Change my brush size. Okay, I got a pretty good brush size there. And I'm going to do this. Oh, sorry, there's Taylor again. Welcome to New York. Oh, that's me singing. I won't sing anymore, promise. And just start doing the weird. And with this particular deal, the harder you press and the longer you stay in one spot, the thicker it gets. So if I do long thin lines, it'll look like that. If I hold down and go slow, the lines will be thicker. I like to make them connected. I kind of like these. It kind of makes them look like lightning. Sorry, I'm moving all around. I hope you're not getting me sick watching. Maybe one day I'll get a better stand. Like I said, I had a stand. My wife's an attorney and she works from home, and she does court appearances by video. So a lot of times she would borrow the stand to do her court appearances with, so she can have her write with her hands and stuff. but I don't know what she did with it. I know she had court this morning. And connect it to the eye. And to me, this kind of makes the eye and the painting look alive. So that's the painting. I feel like, well, let me see. One more thing I want to do. I want to change one more thing. I like to do this sometimes. I really like how this looks. There's been times I've gotten 3/4 of the way through and I'm not happy with it, so I just give up. Or I'll start over. We'll go to red. We'll go to eye here. And make it look kind of bloodshot. Okay. I like the way that looks. I'll post it on my social media so you can all see it. I hope this video was helpful to folks. Like I said, I get a lot of questions as to how I do these. I guess I thought more people knew how to do. I kind of figured this all out on my own. I guess when people think of digital art, a lot of times they think of like Photoshop or GIMP or like digital animation type things and don't think of actually drawing by hand and stuff. So, but that's what I do, and it's a lot of fun, and I really love how some of these come out. Like I said, a few years ago, or when I first started this with digital, I would a lot of times just do like a layer or two, maybe some scribbles, and call it a day. Now I like to add, and I think this adds a lot of depth to the piece and gives it some, even though it's a digital piece, looking at a print, if you're looking, especially when you see these on prints, when I get prints made of these, it doesn't look like a digital print. It looks like something somebody painted, so or by hand. So anyway, thanks to everybody for watching. So leave a comment or ask any questions that you have, and here we go.